starting your powerful spiritual healing practice right now. This is going to be absolutely transformative for you.
Hey everyone, it's Mia.
And I'm Marcus. Happy to be here with you.
So today we're diving into something that's been all over my feed lately, which is spiritual practices around money mindset and abundance work.
Yeah, and just to mention up front, everything we're talking about today is AI generated and for informational purposes only.
Right, and this might not reflect the most current information either. We're just here to talk about the cultural phenomenon.
So, where do we even start with this? Because it feels like manifestation culture has completely exploded in the past few years.
It's everywhere on TikTok. Like every other video is someone talking about their abundance meditation routine or how they cleared their money blocks and suddenly got a promotion.
What's interesting to me is how old these ideas actually are. The whole concept of using visualization and affirmations for prosperity goes back to the New Thought movement in the 1800s.
Wait, that far back?
Yeah, thinkers like Prentice Mulford and later Napoleon Hill were writing about the power of thought to create material reality. It's been repackaged over and over through the decades.
That's wild because it feels so modern when you see it on social media. Like people are doing these elaborate rituals with candles and crystals and calling in specific spiritual figures.
Right, and there's this whole vocabulary that's developed. You've got people talking about the violet flame, which comes from a specific spiritual tradition, or calling on archangels or ascended masters.
The violet flame thing is super popular right now. It's supposed to be this transformative spiritual energy that transmutes negative patterns.
That concept comes from a movement called the I Am activity that started in the 1930s. A guy named Guy Ballard claimed to have met an ascended master on Mount Shasta.
On Mount Shasta specifically?
Yeah, it's become this legendary spiritual site. But the violet flame teaching spread from there into other New Age movements. Now it's part of this broader spiritual toolkit people use.
And then you've got Saint Germain showing up in all these practices. He's like this mysterious historical figure who became this huge spiritual icon.
The real Count of Saint Germain was this 18th century European courtier who was surrounded by mystery. People said he never aged, that he had alchemical secrets.
So he was like the original mysterious spiritual guru before that was even a thing.
Pretty much. And then in the 20th century, various spiritual movements adopted him as an ascended master figure associated with transformation and alchemy.
Which connects to the money stuff because alchemy was literally about turning base metals into gold. So there's this symbolic link to transforming your financial situation.
That's actually a really good connection. The metaphor of spiritual alchemy transforming your inner state to change your outer circumstances.
And then Archangel Raphael shows up in a lot of these practices too. He's usually associated with healing in traditional angelology.
Right, Raphael appears in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions as a healing angel. In the book of Tobit, he's a guide and healer.
So people are bringing him into money work as a way to heal their relationship with finances. Like treating money blocks as something that needs spiritual healing.
Exactly. There's this whole framework where financial struggles aren't just practical problems, but symptoms of deeper spiritual or psychological wounds.
Which brings us to the ancestral piece. That's huge in this space right now. People talk about clearing ancestral money trauma or breaking generational poverty patterns.
That concept draws from a few different sources. There's a psychological idea of intergenerational trauma, which is actually studied in fields like epigenetics.
So there's real science behind it?
There's research showing that trauma can affect gene expression and potentially be passed down. But that's about stress response and health outcomes, not specifically about money beliefs.
But the spiritual interpretation takes it further and says you can energetically clear these patterns through meditation and ritual.
Yeah, and there's also influence from indigenous healing traditions that work with ancestors. That's been adapted into New Age practices, sometimes controversially.
Oh, there's definitely discourse about cultural appropriation in manifestation spaces. Like when people borrow from closed practices without understanding the context.
It's a real issue. A lot of what gets packaged as universal spirituality actually has specific cultural origins that should be respected.
So when people are doing these abundance meditations, what's actually happening psychologically, like beyond the spiritual explanation?
Well, there's research on visualization and affirmations. Some studies suggest that positive visualization can affect motivation and goal-directed behavior.
So it might work, but not necessarily for magical reasons. More like you're training your brain to notice opportunities.
Right, there's something called the reticular activating system in your brain that filters information. If you're focused on abundance, you might notice opportunities you would have missed.
That makes sense. It's like when you're thinking about buying a certain car and suddenly you see that car everywhere.
Exactly. And meditation itself has documented benefits for stress reduction and emotional regulation, which could indirectly affect your financial decisions.
Because if you're less anxious, you might make better choices or be more confident in pursuing opportunities.
Yeah, though it's important to note that no amount of meditation can overcome systemic barriers or replace practical financial planning.
That's the critique I see online a lot. That manifestation culture can be toxic because it implies if you're struggling financially, you just haven't meditated hard enough.
That's a real problem with how some of this gets taught. It can veer into victim blaming and ignore real structural inequalities.
Like telling someone in poverty that they just need to shift their mindset while ignoring things like wage stagnation or lack of access to education.
Right, the most responsible teachers in this space acknowledge that mindset work is just one piece alongside practical action and systemic change.
But I will say, for people who do have opportunities but are held back by fear or limiting beliefs, maybe there's value in a psychological shift.
I think that's fair. If someone grew up with messages that money is evil or that wanting more is greedy, unpacking that through reflection or meditation could be helpful.
And there's something kind of powerful about ritual in general, like creating a dedicated space to think about your goals and what's holding you back.
Ritual has been part of human culture forever. It creates psychological significance and helps people mark transitions or intentions.
So even if you don't believe in the supernatural elements, the act of sitting down and visualizing your goals might still do something.
Yeah, though again, it's not a replacement for actual financial education or professional guidance when you need it.
Totally. Like you still need to understand budgeting and investing and all that practical stuff.
What's interesting is how social media has changed the way these practices spread. You mentioned TikTok earlier.
Oh my God, yeah. Manifestation TikTok is its own universe. You've got people sharing their morning abundance routines, posting testimonials about money that showed up after they did a meditation.
This reminds me of when The Secret came out in 2006. That was a huge cultural moment for manifestation going mainstream.
Before my time, but I've heard about it. That was the law of attraction thing, right?
Yeah, the idea that your thoughts directly attract circumstances. It was huge. Oprah promoted it, but it also got a lot of criticism for oversimplifying complex issues.
And now we're kind of in a new wave of that, but with more specific spiritual frameworks layered on top.
Right, people are combining law of attraction with angel work, energy clearing, chakra balancing, all these different modalities.
It's like spiritual maximalism. The more elements you include in your practice, the more powerful it's supposed to be.
Which can feel overwhelming, honestly. Like you need a whole arsenal of techniques just to work on one issue.
Yeah, and there's definitely a consumerist aspect to it. You can buy crystals, oracle decks, courses, all these products marketed for abundance work.
That's the irony, right? Spending money on products to help you attract money.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Though to be fair, if someone finds value in a practice and it genuinely helps them, maybe the cost is worth it to them.
As long as they're not going into debt buying manifestation courses, which would be counterproductive.
Absolutely. That's where it crosses into predatory territory, when vulnerable people are sold expensive solutions to serious financial problems.
Have you noticed how the language around this stuff has gotten more specific? Like people don't just say they want to be rich, they talk about calling in their specific financial desires.
Yeah, there's an emphasis on being very detailed in your visualization. Not just imagining wealth, but picturing the exact amount, how it arrives, what you'll do with it.
Which maybe helps with goal setting in a practical sense. Like if you have a specific target, you can work backwards to figure out how to reach it.
That's actually solid advice from a planning perspective. Having clear, specific goals is better than vague wishes.
So maybe the spiritual framing is just a way to make goal setting feel more meaningful or sacred.
Could be. And for some people, connecting their financial goals to a spiritual practice might make them more motivated to follow through.
What about the affirmation piece? That's huge in these practices. People repeat phrases about deserving abundance or being a money magnet.
Affirmations are interesting. There's some research suggesting they can help with self esteem and reducing negative thought patterns, but the evidence is mixed.
I feel like they could backfire if you're saying things you don't believe at all. Like if you're broke and repeating, I am wealthy, that disconnect might feel worse.
Yeah, some psychologists argue that affirmations work better when they're realistic and process oriented rather than outcome focused.
What does that mean?
Like instead of I am a millionaire when you're not, something like I am learning to manage money wisely or I am open to financial opportunities.
That feels more believable and less like you're lying to yourself.
Exactly. It's about shifting your mindset in a way that feels authentic rather than forcing a belief you don't have.
So we've talked about the spiritual elements, the psychology, the cultural history. What's the bottom line here?
I think these practices can have value as tools for self reflection and motivation, but they're not magic solutions. They work best alongside practical financial education and action.
And people should be careful about teachers or courses that promise specific financial results from spiritual practices alone.
Right, because that crosses into making claims that aren't backed up and can exploit people who are desperate for solutions.
But if someone finds comfort or motivation in meditating on abundance or working with spiritual figures they connect with, that's their choice.
Absolutely. Personal spiritual practice is just that, personal, as long as it's not replacing professional help when that's what's actually needed.
And just to reiterate for everyone listening, this whole conversation is for informational purposes only. We're not giving financial or spiritual advice here.
Yeah, if you're dealing with serious financial challenges or looking for guidance, please talk to qualified professionals like financial advisors or therapists.
This has been such a fascinating topic to explore. The intersection of spirituality and money is so layered.
It really is. And it says a lot about how people are searching for meaning and control in an area of life that can feel really stressful and uncertain.
Thanks for unpacking all the history and psychology with me. I learned so much.
Thanks for bringing your perspective. This was a great conversation.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and your wallets.
See you next time.